Wow, it's spicy.
Yeah.
Let's go for it. Whoa, big power there. Holy smokes. Through the corners. Everything it's got through there. Whoa.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. Okay, so it does the performance-y thing. There's one huge oversight with this vehicle, Alyssa.
Ready for
It's
it.
most of this area, actually. There's like no place to put things, like I mentioned, so you're going to put your stuff there. And of course, it's got 900 horsepower, so here's what's going to happen.
Everywhere. Usually everything goes right there. That's been its little wheel well that it goes into.
Hello and welcome to another Out of Spec Reviews video. Well, today doesn't suck, does it? I'm standing here just outside of Pebble Beach with a brand new Lotus Eletre. This is a really special day because it's the first time I'm able to present to you the Lotus Eletre, and it's the first time I'm ever able to drive the car. So I'm going to take you on a full tour front to back of this thing. We'll go through all the specs, all the tech features, all the software, and then of course we're going to take it for our first drive. Now, there's still plenty to do with this vehicle after this video, so stay tuned because we're going to try and link up with one of these in the near future to do some charge testing and range testing and 10% challenge, because this might win the 10% challenge. 350 kilowatt DC fast charging on this thing. The numbers are amazing. We'll get into the whole car. I'm so excited about it. Can't thank Lotus enough for sneaking one away from their display so that we can have a quick go here in America for the first time. It's time to go on a full tour and a first drive of the Lotus Eletre. Now, Alyssa is behind the camera. Alyssa, is it hard to say the name or is it just me?
Electra?
Yeah, I keep wanting to put a C in there, like Electra.
Oh, I think I do put the C in there. Eletra.
If you look here, there's no C.
It's just Eletra.
Eletra.
Yeah.
It's a little, doesn't roll off the tongue, does it? It's not like
No.
Avaya or Amira. Electra. There's like,
Eletra. Yeah.
Oh, look at this Maserati MC20 going for a rip. Nice. We love to see it. Car Week is insane this year. So this is the Lotus Eletre. There's a lot of firsts for Lotus here. It is the first all-wheel drive Lotus. It is the first Lotus to be considered an SUV, which is sacrilege for many enthusiasts out there. But they kind of need to sell this in order to pay for the sports cars, so I get it. And this thing is fast as hell. It's the most powerful Lotus other than the Avaya. And like a lot of crazy things going on here. Anyway, I'll take you on a full tour of this. First things you need to know are the main specs and sizing and pricing. Lotus was purchased and infused with money by Geely or Geely. Is it Geely or Geely? I'm not sure. Geely. So Geely basically made this possible. So it's a technical integration between Lotus and the Chinese, and I think they've really managed to build something special, truly special with this vehicle. And Alyssa will share some of her thoughts as we go for a drive because we're filming this slightly out of order. But it's also the first vehicle I've truly seen her excited about that we've reviewed. I mean, she's like, we got to get one of these. What's the deal with that, Alyssa?
I don't know. When I saw it, I just fell in love with it. And I mean, once you're like inside in the interior, there's just so much to it that it's so exciting. It looks cool. The coloring is like this total like Barbie spec, not really into this coloring, but this in a yellow would just be absolutely perfect in my opinion. And I don't know, it looked pretty cool rolling around with the doggos in this thing.
Okay, so it's a electric SUV. I have the suspension set pretty low right now. I don't believe it's in the lowest setting, full air suspension. And first off, the price. Well, we're not 100% sure of the price because the US pricing hasn't been announced, but I think high $90,000 range starting, maybe 95, 98, somewhere around there. I think we'll see a base price of like 90, high 90s. And then there's three different versions of the Lotus Eletre. There is the base, and then the S, which uses the same drivetrain of the base, dual motor, air suspension, but it's got some nicer materials on the inside and some optional extras, you know, quieter glass, things like that. And then you have the Eletre R. And if you just stand over this way so you can really get a sense of the size of the car, I just want our audience to see how long and kind of big this is, especially for being a Lotus. The Eletre R is what we're driving here. This is the spicy one. And what I'm glad that we have the chance to drive the Eletre R is Lotus did a first drive program in Oslo with some journalists, and they drove mostly the base car. And the Eletre R is really the turned up spicy one. It's going to be quite a bit more expensive for the R. It adds a 2-speed transmission on the rear axle, juices the power all the way up, and I'll go through all those specs with you in a moment. But 150, 170,000. We don't know pricing, but that's my guess, in that range. You know, I don't think we're going to see a 140 number on this thing. I think it's going to be 150 plus. So very expensive for the version that we're testing. Although, is it very expensive? Because Taycan Cross Turismo, especially if you spec it for a Turbo or Turbo S version, is actually the same price or more. So in that context, you're going to get a lot of performance, very high quality, and all of those things for a reasonable price. I have to bring up Tesla, of course. If you just care about straight line speed and performance, this really isn't the car for you. It is fast, 2.9 seconds 0 to 60 in Eletre R, 4.5 seconds for the standard one, which I think is fine. But a Model X Plaid costs way less than this, and you can get 7 seats and go fast in a straight line. This car is more than just the numbers on paper. It's the tactile feel of everything. It's actually got great software, great materials, great room in the car, and I'll show you all of that. And it's, I don't want to use the term exotic, but it's special. It's cool. Even just driving it around here, of course, we're in an area where there's, you know, $30 million Ferraris driving around and crazy things. Everyone has stopped us to ask about this. It has taken us 30 minutes just to film this video here because we had folks coming by left and right. We had project managers from competitor cars wanting to get a sneak preview of this. And of course I opened the doors. Yeah, take a look, enjoy it. It's been very interesting and some really cool details to show this. Bring the camera on here. You can actually see the air management all the way into the wheel well, all the way to the tire from right there. What do you think about the styling of this, Alyssa? You have these really intricate details back here. Is it good? Is it bad? Because I've heard mixed. I've heard some people love it. And then like my really good friend Calvin, as an example, he's like, no, that thing's ugly. So what do you think?
I actually like the styling of it, which actually surprises me because I'm usually not into this intricate, but I think the reason why is because it is a Lotus and I expect it to have more of that weird looking and styling and all that panel look. So I like it. I mean, I think it looks great.
The one thing is there's just a lot of intricate and interesting details around the car. So come back over here. I showed you where you can see the tire, but come look straight through here and you can see all the way through the vehicle there. So if you, especially if you look at the Avaya, which is their supercar, that car is like known for having panels that you can see through. I think it's kind of a Lotus thing to channel the air through the vehicle, and it gives it this very wide, very purposeful, very sporty aesthetic. Now this one's fitted with the extra carbon pack all over as well. Almost a fully spec'd car. The only thing this doesn't have are the carbon ceramic brakes, which I think would be an option. If you're going full sporty, go carbon brakes. I mean, you're already into this thing for so much more. But you know what? I actually think it looks cool. It's interesting. To me, this actually looks very Chinese. Like if you're driving around China and you have this sort of rose gold iridescent paint, or this, I don't even know how you would describe this paint. What would you call it, Alyssa?
I don't know.
We don't know. Okay. But this very pinkish flavor to it. This would fit in perfectly in China, this cherry blossom or this blossom color. Anyway, that's enough on the styling. Look, styling's subjective. I really like it. I did not like it in the photos, but I like it in person. I'm going to unlock it just so I can open the front trunk, but this is the key to the Eletre. Look at that.
That's so cool.
You click it once to unlock, you click it once to lock. There's also a backup key card. You can see the LiDAR pops up out of the roof and comes down. I just wanted to show you that. We'll talk a little bit more about that. It does this really cool startup scene. So not only does the top LiDAR pop out, they actually pop out here. So Ryan, would you mind hitting the open close button as this gorgeous Alpha comes by? Absolutely amazing. Let's just try locking it. Yes, there we go. That seems to work. I was wondering what was behind those silly panels. Now we know. The LiDARs also have a self-cleaning function, which we will demonstrate to you right now. Oh, I'm getting splashed over here. And the roof one's getting hit and the back one's going too, right? Yep. How about that? Just Self-cleaning all the sensors. Pretty wild. Let's open up the hood because I want to show you under here, and then we're going to talk technical details about charging, performance, range, all that good stuff. So under here, you can see we have just a small little area of a front trunk, and it comes with a little cable bag. Put this here, a few other little knickknacks. Totally fine just for keeping things out of the cabin, but it's not like a really huge cavernous front trunk space. But I think this is okay. This seems to work pretty well, and I really like that. Very much getting Polestar 3 vibes out of this thing. You know what I mean, Alyssa?
I think you've compared every car today to a Polestar.
Maybe just because I've been driving
Yeah.
a Polestar around. But very, very Polestar 3 vibes up front. I'm sure the cars share a lot in common. Lotus tells me this is a bespoke chassis just to them, a bespoke battery just to them. But I know that Geely and Polestar and EX90 and there's got to be a lot of technology sharing going on here. So battery pack capacity, 112 kilowatt hour gross. I think somewhere around 104, 105 usable. So that's a huge battery. And the range should be quite large as well. So it's not been rated in the EPA cycle. We'll have to wait until we can range test it, but I'm very much expecting 300 miles, 320 miles EPA would be my guess. If it doesn't hit that, something's wrong because yeah, it's a 300-mile range vehicle. I think it needs to hit that. It's got a big enough battery, over 100 kilowatt hours usable, should be able to do just fine. More importantly than the range is the charging performance. This can charge at 350 kilowatts. And Lotus put in a huge, big speech about the cooling system in this vehicle when you read their press materials. I'll actually leave the press kit, which I don't typically do, at the bottom of this video because there's a lot of technical data on there that I want to walk you through. And it is just awesome to see that they're like, we get it. Batteries get hot. We put in a juicy cooling system in here, 800 volt system architecture as well to help reduce with the thermal loads. Come on down in here. I'm going to click unlock. I want you to watch the startup cycle of this vehicle. Actually, it's unlocked right now. I'm going to lock it. And I also, the reason I'm doing this is because I want to show you some of the active air management as well. It's really technical and really cool. I don't think I've seen anything like this on a vehicle before. So come straight on. If you can just look at the car, get nice and low, right about there. That is perfect. I'm going to click unlock on the key. Watch the headlights, watch everything. I'm going to wait for them to shut off. And the areas that I kind of want you to take a look at. By the way, just down in here, this carbon pack is unbelievably beautiful. It's really cool. This down here is where I really want your eyes to be. So let's click unlock. You can see the headlights go and watch down here. These open up. How cool is that? That has got to be one of the coolest startup sequences of any electric vehicle that I've seen. I know it didn't do the full headlight thing, but isn't that neat, Alyssa?
That is really cool. Can you lock it one more time? Actually?
Sure. What's up?
I thought I saw something else, but I did not. My mistake. But yeah, that is super cool. And I mean, there's just so much to this car. And I think that's why I really enjoy it, that there's just so many new things to learn about it as you're sitting in it. And it just makes it even cooler and cooler each thing that you learn.
Speaking of the interior, we haven't even shown the audience the interior yet. Should we open it up and give them a look?
Yeah.
Door handles pop out of the car. Quite plasticky door handles. Not into those.
It's not great, but it does have soft close, which is great.
Right, has soft closed doors, double pane glass. Not digging the red interior here.
No, this is absolutely terrible, but you spec it how you want it. And so this is really cool. It flips up when it's in, well, I guess it's unlocked. So
driver's not in there. So when I open up the driver's door, the screen will fold down. I can do that. Let me pop over here. So in and here it comes. And that's a setting. You can turn that off if you don't like it, or you can keep that on. I believe Zeekr does something similar to this as well.
Correct. Yeah, but the interior is just so cool. Like, we'll show you this part right here. Just press this button.
Yep.
And then it's there. And then you have one for these size cups, and then one for the larger cups.
Passes the Starbucks test.
Yeah.
So you can keep a nice clean look, or you just put your drink right there. How sick is that? The one downside though, I have to say, and we can do an interior review. Well, let's just do it now since we're in here, and we'll get to some more of the technical specifications in a little bit. We'll keep this a little bit less nerdy, this particular one. Instantly off the bat, there's nowhere to put anything. So if you have your key, like this is your key, it's a very weird orb key. You can get it color matched to your vehicle as well, which is cool. There's nowhere to put it. So you have your wireless phone charger here. You can put stuff there, but then you can't use your wireless phone charger, or phone heater, as I would say. I really wish that this had some active cooling, this phone charger. We reviewed the new Cayenne as an example, and that had cooling fans under there so your phone didn't overheat, increases the efficiency of charging. You have your temperature controls left and right, and you'll notice they go red when you push it warmer and cold when you come in this way. Can you guys see that? So when you go warm, it goes red. When you go colder, it goes cold.
And it does it up here too.
Yeah, that's right. And here's your air vent coming out. Really nice climate control system. We'll go through this whole software, and I'll show you this in a little bit. You have your shifter right here. So you have drive and reverse. Just toggle this back and forth. Really nice knurling on everything. I'm a huge fan of this. It's real metal. It feels strong. It's pretty insane. So I'm loving the touch points of this vehicle for sure. And the nice thing is no start button. It's just a car you get in, put it in drive, and go. Literally, it's in drive. That's all I did. And that's awesome. Electronic parking brake going, just fantastic. In terms of overall layout, I have a giant head-up display in front of me, which you won't be able to see right now. I have a really expansive dashboard, a very nice driver instrument cluster right here. Can you guys see that?
Yep.
Okay, and then sort of an odd shaped steering wheel. Not digging the steering wheel shape at all. I wish it was just a round wheel, but really high quality materials. I believe it's a capacitive wheel for the driver assistance system. And you'd think these look like paddle shifters, but actually each one, so there's 4 different little toggles here. And I can go up and down through the drive modes with the right one. So you can see here, I'm going from track all the way into individual, sport, tour, range, and even off-road. And we'll just put it in individual right now, which is how I have it configured. I'll run you through how I have it configured before we drive it. And yeah, big fan of that. Then you have your regen controls on the left side of the steering wheel, which we'll discuss when we drive. Everything in this quadrant is all for driver assistance. And you'll see like almost nothing is labeled with words. It's all kind of graphics here on the wheel, but it's so high quality, real metal materials. Everything has a lot of weight to it. The buttons feel really good. I'm loving this. Horn test. Good horn. Big fan there. And then you have all of your media controls here on the right with, voice assistant and all of those things available as well. So loving this. Also loving the seating position. Very rarely do I get into an electric SUV and I feel like I can sit on the floor. But in this, I have this very cockpit feel. The door is very quite high up. I'm in the vehicle, not on the vehicle. And as a performance vehicle, which a Lotus should be, this feels really nice. So again, when I'm thinking Lotus of the past, where I could barely get into an Elise, and I've been lucky enough to drive a few different Lodi, is that the plural? Lotuses over the years. This is nothing like you can imagine a Lotus ever being. But if you're just looking at the electric SUV segment, Lotus nailed it here. I mean, like I'm really loving the size, the category, the positioning. It's very interesting. It's kind of feels like it's going to go after Macan EV or some of these performance-y SUVs, maybe Lucid Air Gravity as well. But it's got the sportier, almost bespoke edge to it. You can really customize the vehicle how you want it, and it's going to be the rarest, it's going to be the coolest, and definitely quite expensive. So loving the seating position, loving the door cards. They're very technical, very intricate. You can show everyone on that side. Alyssa, if you would motion to where the door unlock, or where I should say where you open the door is, you push that little clicky button right there, and that opens the doors.
Also,
right, you have your manual override there. The switch gear, again, knurling on all the window switches and everything. Just feels really nice, very high quality, very firm to push everything. It's just amazing. This particular one has a 2100 watt sound system. Wow. Which is stupid. Yeah. It's amazing. I mean, it's just going to blow your ears out. So yeah, it's made by Kef. Sounds amazing. We did some sound tests to it. One of the best audio systems in a car for sure that I've heard. Just bumps. I think the standard audio system is 1100 watts, which sounds crazy. So even so, I don't know what they're doing, but I guess they're trying to make the windows out of the car next to you explode. I only got to 40% volume and my ears were hurting. So it's just amazing power here. Center console, huge and so deep and seemingly chilled as well. It's at least very cold in there. 2 USB-C ports, 12 volt outlet in here, which is nice for your radar detector or something. Very few electric cars actually put a 12 volt outlet in here. The materials, again, very high quality. The seats, incredible. The structure of the seat is very cool. Carbon in this particular one. It's just has to be one of the best seats I've ever felt. It's firm. It holds me in. It feels like a cross between a Porsche bucket seat. At least on the backrest, it feels very Porsche bucket seat up here. And maybe like Mach-E GT Performance on the bottom. Maybe even slightly more aggressive with this inset. Either way, really, really nice seating layout here. So loving the interior of this car. The specs are what's really cool. So let me get outside as we talk more technical details about it before I tell you about the back seat and everything. So again, 112 kilowatt hour gross, 104 usable, dual permanent magnet motor. You can see the suspension dropping now that I have it in individual, so it slams down. The one thing I want to make sure we don't do is lock the key in the car, because I don't know how else we would get into it, and it fell out of my pocket. So I believe phone as a key is an option coming down the road. This one, of course, doesn't have it yet. It's also not connected. It's a Euro spec car in the US, so no cell connection to this one. Okay, the Eletre R has rear steer, 3.5 degrees, which is great. It also has anti-roll stabilization, so as you throw it into a corner, it'll push up on the outside and lean you in. It's air suspension standard, adaptive damper standard, and so a whole bunch of different drive modes, but the Eletre R that you're seeing here also has track mode, which just gives you more thermal cooling power, longer throttle pedal. It actually reduces some of the responsiveness and feeds in the power longer. We'll talk about that as we drive it hard. And overall just seems absolutely amazing. 2.9 seconds, 0 to 60. We got another Lotus pulling in here. Let's say hey. Yeah, you're more than welcome to check it out if you'd like. Nice Evora, dude. Looks great. Sorry for the interruption. It's actually really hard to film this thing here during Car Week because Lotus owners and fans all coming up here. This guy's actually a Rivian employee, so he's kind of cool with the EV thing. But I was talking to him a little bit about, you know, as a Lotus Evora owner, like, what does he think about this vehicle coming to the Lotus brand? Is it the death of Lotus, or is it the savior to Lotus? And man, that sounds pretty amazing. You know, and he was basically in the camp of, this vehicle needs to exist so that he can still get parts for his Evora, or he can buy an Amira. And so it's hopefully going to be a little bit of a Cayenne situation for what Cayenne did to Porsche, saving the brand, where this can be, you know, the vehicle with the highest amount of profit margin built in, and then they can build the sports cars off of this. They also, of course, for emissions reasons, need an electric vehicle in many markets, and this just fits the bill. And it's not like they half-assed this vehicle, as what we were discussing. Like, they went all out. This thing has incredible range, incredible charging. The charging is really my favorite part about this. I mean, just 265 kilowatts of charging power, over 50% state of charge. It's like better charging than Taycan. It's amazing. So where did I leave you? Horsepower and stuff. 905 horsepower in this particular one, the Eletre R, so almost 1,000 horsepower. So it's crazy fast, pulls well over 1 G on acceleration. We saw 1.1 G, not even at a launch, just by rolling into it. And we'll play you some of those driving clips after this. And then the standard one, I think, is 603 horsepower, so still not slow by any measure. So again, dual permanent magnet motors. The R, the top spec, adds 300 horsepower and a 2-speed transmission. It goes from like a 7-to-1 ratio to a 13-to-1 ratio, so pretty much halves the split there. And we'll talk about it in the final thoughts on how that all performs and everything like that. I think most of the technical stuff, drivetrain-wise, we've covered. Great thermal management, big power. And Alyssa, there's a car behind you, so if you just stand out the way, come on over to this side. That would be great. Really cool Pontiac. You could show everyone. They'd be interested in this too. Just insane. Love the long boy. Triple door on this thing. That's freaking epic. And yeah, so cool. Back to the Eletre. I don't really know how to explain this to everyone, but I'm loving this car so far. Backseat review time. In we go. I have the front seat set to my seating position, which again, I'm quite tall, 6'1". As I enter the back seat, can I just show everyone that room?
Yeah, there's plenty of room back here. It's super comfortable. There's actually seat control right here that I just learned about. But I think the only seat that can move is this seat, because you can also toggle with it on the screen.
No, this one moves too.
Oh, it does? Because when I was toggling with it on the screen, only this seat was moving and not my seat.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. And it could just be, no, it works. Maybe it's just a bug.
Maybe. Okay.
Yep. So that's all good. And you got vents in the B-pillar, which is always your thing for the dogs.
And approved right there. The only thing that it's missing, and for the price tag that we think it's at, does not have rear heated seats.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, well that's great car reviewing.
Yeah, something that I could not find.
And also no cooled seats.
No cooled seats either, yep.
And it could be because this one has like a performance seating situation on it, but at least no cooled seats in this particular one, which is the R. It's got the big sound system though, same buttons, same door exit switch back here as well. Huge headroom, by the way, so I can just sit back and lounge all day back here. Let's take a look at the center armrest. Wow, looking cool. Pop out cup holders, that's pretty wild. And is there a storage in here? Yes, storage in here as well. This is a really nice center armrest. The material quality, this leather quality is very high, feels cool, and overall it's nice. Huge glass roof as well. There's so much backseat room here. I don't even know what to do. Obviously, it was designed with the Chinese market in mind from a styling perspective, from a room perspective in the back, but Alyssa, I'm just loving this. Even the stitching and the wrapping on these grab handles, the oh shit handles here, really, really nice, isn't it? Everything, all the grading here, it's all legit metal, laser cut, just seems so next level. So just in essence, before we take it for a drive, it's important for me just to reiterate to you, this is the Eletre R. This is the spicy ones, can be quite expensive, but I'm really looking forward to driving the normal Eletre very soon, which is going to be 4.5 seconds 0 to 60 instead of 2.9. Somewhere around there. Volvo C40 going by there. That's actually our friend Ryan driving that particular one. So he'll take a look here. And yeah, there's no misses here. Have we shown the trunk?
No,
we haven't shown the trunk?
No, I haven't even seen the trunk
You haven't
yet.
seen the trunk? How could we almost end that without showing the trunk? We're supposed to be car reviewers. Leather wrapped, sort of divider right here, which can pop out.
Yeah.
Yes. Here we go. All the way out. Okay, let's remove this for a second, so we can show the true carrying capacity. We have underfloor storage, quite a bit actually. It's long but not super deep, so that's great. And then we can raise and lower the vehicle with these buttons here, so I can drop the rear all the way down, so we can Carolina squat it. If you show everyone the gap in the back, so you can dump, full dump this thing. Timon would love that. And then we should be able to lower the back seats here. Let me get to the other side so I can show you guys that as well.
Should have automatic electric seats, in my opinion.
The Eletre should have electric seats.
Yeah,
I agree.
electric folding seats.
Totally agree. And you can see it's not flat folding.
Yeah.
Because they took the compromise of wanting, to be held in from a sporting perspective. They gave up on the seats folding flat because the side bolsters are so thick. And it also probably creases the leather a little bit on the side when they're in that down position. I can already see it leave a slight impression. So again, every vehicle is a compromise. Everything that goes into them is a compromise. I'm not 100% sure how that goes in, but we'll save that for when we give it back. We'll make sure that goes in before it goes back on display. Is there anything else we missed, Alyssa?
No.
Front trunk, rear trunk, specs, power, price. Let's go drive this thing for the first time. We're actually going to go back in time to where we jumped in this vehicle at the Lotus display. You're going to join us for our very first few moments driving this. We're going to talk about the low speed, the regen, the power output. We'll then drive it fast on a canyon road, and then you'll join us on our way back for our final thoughts. So pretty amazing so far. I'm just so into this vehicle because it's exclusive, it's exciting, and it's a new direction for Lotus, and I always like the controversial cars. So let's get in and go for a drive. I just want to take you guys on a quick POV software tour so you can see everything that's going on here. The first thing I have to say is this screen brightness isn't really that bright. Now, I believe I can put it up to full, but even then it's not as bright as you would expect. But the vehicle's broken up into a few different layouts. The first is climate control, and that's always really important in a vehicle. So you have different levels of auto climate, which is fantastic. And you can adjust the vents by pulling around here, or even by double tapping on them to turn them on and off. Now, no one's in the passenger seat, so it doesn't seem to let me do that, but I should be able to turn my vent off and then double tap to turn on. There we go. And you can see I can adjust the flow of it, very similar to Tesla Taycan. That works really great. You can put on ionization, which is great. It'll show you your air quality is excellent, so that is good where we are right now. You can see heated seats and heated steering wheel, 3 different levels for that. You have a few different options. Sync, always my favorite. I hate it when climate controls aren't synced. You can also control the rear vents. Beautiful displays. It's all powered by an Unreal Engine. And then, of course, some settings where you can have driver seat heating, air quality, so you can do a cabin filter thing, cabin overheat protection, which is great. Yeah, you can turn on the air conditioning automatically if air conditions of the vehicle are abnormal. So that would be like humidity is too high or carbon dioxide of, okay, I don't know, just some air quality stuff. I'm not really like an air quality expert, but I like that the car takes care of that stuff. And if the front windscreen fogs up, turn on air conditioning. So there's a lot of great settings there. One thing we'd love to see, of course, is dog mode. There's no animal mode or pet mode or anything like that. So that's a little bit unfortunate. I also want to say the sound system is next level. This KEF sound system sounds incredible. Again, over 2,000 watts of power is just almost too much, if you will. There's an abundance of them. But lots of settings in here. You can do automatic transparency for the glass roof. So it'll choose based off light sensors how much to let through, which is cool. Full ESC off, which is always important in a performance vehicle. It wouldn't be a Lotus if you couldn't turn all that off, and thankfully you can. Lots of mirror tilting stuff, tire pressures, all that good stuff. If we come here to lights, you have all the ambient lighting that you can choose from, which is great. And all of that makes sense. Tourist mode is if you're driving right-hand drive, left-hand drive country, adjust the headlights. All of the drive mode settings, which you can easily pull up, which is with these switches right here. I just have to pull these screens down. You can see we can configure, pull it back up, configure automatic or individual drive mode. So you can set your ride height, you know, your power, all this good stuff. Love that. Safety, automatic speed adjustment. The one thing is for the lane keep assist that I would suggest is there's no steering correction without the alarm. What I actually like is for the car to nudge me if I hit a line, but I don't want it to beep, 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 beep all the time. So there's no setting for that. I hope they do that. Thankfully, this does support over-the-air software updates to almost every module on the vehicle. The whole car is totally connected. You can self-clean the LiDARs and even open them up, which is always neat. And that pops off the side ones and the front. The rear LiDAR is always extended, so there's no function there to raise and lower it. You have some insane sound settings where you can go stage and spatial and all of these different topics. It's really, really nice stuff. Dolby Atmos in the vehicle. You have some brightness, even the head-up display. I'll just try and show you if you can see the 0, right here. I can put it into a snow mode, and that turns the 0 blue like that. So if you're driving on a snowy surface, it doesn't blend in. So that's always cool. Love to see that. Oh, I accidentally turned the climate control to low. Oh, and you can just drag here. Very snappy software, by the way. I'm really impressed with all of this here. Yeah, there's really not much. Whoa, zoomed in. Not much more to really say about the system other than, you know, we're on very early software. Here's the brand. This one doesn't even have a VIN number in here. I guess this is the VIN number in the wrong spot. 101 miles on this particular one. It's on the Lotus Hyper OS 1.0 beta. So it's early days for this thing for sure, but should do route planning, on-route battery preconditioning. I just want to show you some charging settings because that's always an important part of our reviews. You can easily set a charge limit for 50% for storage. They seemingly recommend a 95% limit, only go to 100 when necessary. You know, you can see your daily 95%. That's quite high. It shows that maybe they put most of the buffers up there. Drive battery temperature management. This is like if you plug it in when it's freezing, and you know, it'll just keep the battery slightly warm or slightly cool if it's hot or cold out for 24 hours before it goes into a storage mode. There's also an electrical history. So this was on our drive today, actually, which you're about to watch. I drove it for almost 2 hours. We did 45 miles. And we ripped it quite hard, of course. So that's basically our driving that you're about to watch. And there you go. There's the system, all powered by Unreal Engine, super fast, snappy, really neat stuff. You just tap the car, functions come up here. You can raise and lower the rear spoiler into 3 different positions. So you can go position 1 and position 2. and it's just quite loud when it raises and lowers. So I wish the motors were slightly quieter there. Very, very neat stuff all around. Again, very quick first taste today. This screen doesn't do too much at the moment, but should be able to do more once it's software updated. It is touch screen, and then this one in front of the driver just kind of shows us all the displays. And there's, of course, driver monitoring, eye tracking, and everything's future-proof for driver assistance functions to come down the road when the technology exists. Well, you guys join me inside of the Lotus Eletre now, where there's just some insane Porsche stuff coming through. Wow, that is gorgeous. We are going for our very first drive of the Eletre, and I just want to take it nice and gentle to start, and then we'll ramp up the speed as we go. We're at 65% state of charge, and the car's predicting 163 miles of range. The car has not been rated in the EPA cycle yet. So in order to set up drive modes, I already walked you through that, but I just want to see what mode I'm in. So I'm going to go to, I guess, hit the drive mode selection button. We'll pull it up, and I've configured my individual drive mode, which is how I think we're going to eventually move into that one, which is basically sport power, light steering, sport ready alert brake. I don't really know what that means. And then active rear spoiler maxed out. Also the air suspension in Tour, which should be soft damper, but with the air suspension dumped to lowest because it looks good slammed on the ground. But I think we should probably just start in Tour, which is their standard, key up setting, if you will. I'm going to put it into drive. I have some regen settings here as well. The seatbelts just pull, and we are on max regen. And there's also regen off, 1, 2, and 3. The switch gear feels amazing. The view out the front is so cool. Alyssa is also mic'd up. You may or may not be able to see her occasionally in the video, but Alyssa, your initial impression on the Eletre before we move.
I'm in love. Literally, there's just so many cool things. Like, I'm sitting back here and I'm actually able to use this screen in its full entirety of anything that I want. Within air conditioning, I can move my vents, go to music, I can play around and mess with his stuff. And then there's also a setting, where is it, quick access, where I can change the transparency on the glass roof myself, which is really cool. So yeah, very impressed with this. And yeah, this is super exciting.
Also, I'm just moving the air vents around here. I can just do that by dragging on the screen, and you can also close the air vents by double tapping on them, like a little bit like the Rivian, and then double tapping to turn them back on. So I think that's a great feature. Anyway, we're in drive, we're in Tour, key up setting, max regen. This is how I imagine most people will drive it every day. There is no one pedal drive setting in this vehicle. It is blended brake pedal for regen. We'll just let the Porsche out here. That is a gorgeous car. Oh my goodness. And off we go. So we have creep on to about 3 miles an hour. Very smooth creep. If I hit the brake pedal, we'll come to a stop. And then if I push the brake pedal hard, auto hold comes on and we don't have to hold us there. And then I just tip into the throttle a little bit to release auto hold, and we start moving. Huge head-up display right off the bat. These are all Euro spec cars, so some of the functionality, again, like navigation isn't working here. Lotus Emiras everywhere. There's 2 Avayas over here as well, which are the crazy supercar electric things. Avaya number 1 and Avaya number 2, both right here. How sick is that to have both of them in one place? Sounds amazing, doesn't it? Little cool little power steering noises. Just epic. And of course we're out driving around the Eletre today. So what's a Lotus electric car day? Totally wild. Couple other of these SUV situations here. I think we can squeeze out this away. Man, the Eletre in yellow, Alyssa. That's your color.
Yeah, that's the color right there.
She's on this yellow kick.
I am on this yellow kick. I just want a nice, fun, bright car. All of our cars are black.
Yeah, that's right. We have very boring color cars. So let's cruise out this way, and very quick steering ratio. It's about 2 turns lock to lock, maybe 2.5 turns lock to lock, 2 1/4, something like that. And it's so interesting right off the bat where there's a lot of regen, and the regen pulls us to about 6 miles an hour. And then it seems to just coast. And then creep blends in here at about 3 miles an hour. I can feel it blend in a little creep. So that's very interesting. It's very in operation, very similar to your e-tron, Alyssa, where there's no one pedal driving.
Okay.
So it's you have to bring it to a break. Look at all these Amiras coming back in, just absolutely so cool to see all of these cars on the road. They're not quite on sale yet. They're just starting. Wow, this, to be honest, was a little bit of an overwhelming experience just getting in it. And we're shooting the video out of order for everyone.
Right.
We wanted to do the intro on PCH with this beautiful background, so hopefully that happens. And this truck, I'm just realizing, is trying to come in here. So let's see if we can get out of his way. Big apologies to this guy for blocking him. So let's scooch on over this way. Yeah, so quite overwhelming getting in this car because everything is new. There's so much to learn, but flat six sounding amazing. Let's just go out here and cruise. Initial impression pulling on the highway. Can't hear the motors at all. Dead silent. Wow. The throttle is, it's changing its throttle map based off of speed. It's really quiet, Alyssa.
This is a really, really cool experience overall. And actually, so we just posted on Twitter a picture of me with it, and somebody said, "Oh, the price is way too high." Prices, once you sit in it, definitely it makes complete sense. It almost is a very good deal for what you're getting for around 100 to 120 for the
base car at least. So this one's the R.
Okay.
Which is like maybe 165.
Okay.
175.
Well, I mean, still though.
When you compare it to, okay, if we're thinking luxury electric vehicle, you're going to be looking at Taycan Cross Turismo Turbo, Turbo Cross Turismo Turbo S. They're pushing $200,000.
Yeah.
This certainly is more functional. We haven't seen how it handles yet, but initially I'm getting that same feeling of quality in this as I would in a Porsche.
Yeah, and there's just so much cool tech and so many things that they just paid so much detail and attention to. And especially for like a hypercar brand going electric, I mean, this is cool.
I've never actually seen you excited about a car we've reviewed.
About this car.
She loves this car. I don't.
I really do.
It's a little bit hard for me to wrap my head around why you like this car so much. To me, this car seems like it's almost built for the Chinese market. Of course, the parent company's Chinese, and this is a Geely product. But wow. So the first thing we should do is give it the beans. What do you say?
Give it the beans.
I'm not going to smack it down. I'm just going to roll into it. Okay.
Okay.
Oh. Okay, so it beeps at you when you hit the line. There's probably a way to turn that off. That was strong performance.
Yeah, that kicks.
Now, if I change the drive mode here, this one, and we go to track. Okay, so we get some things that come up on the display. We have power percentage. Should we give it the beans in track?
Yes.
Interesting.
Felt a lot different.
Felt a lot different, and it felt way less harsh.
Yeah.
It's like you floor it, and it feeds in the power. Watch, floor it. Almost feels slow, and then it gives you the power. So it's like they take the immediacy out of it in track mode, which, okay, so a lot of people who are just into electric cars will not like that right off the bat. But a lot of car enthusiasts, this is going to feel almost like things are happening. It's building. It's encouraging you to stay in the throttle versus Tesla, which is all the power and then it trails off as you have voltage sag in the pack. This gives you more as you stay into it. That's interesting. I wonder if that's just in track mode or if we can come down into sport. Ride height. Okay, whatever. So sport mode, I wonder if this will be more immediate. Yes, sport mode is more immediate, and we felt a little bit of a delay or even a kick, and that would be the rear transmission shifting. So it's like the Taycan where it's a 2-speed on the back axle. Yeah, it's very interesting. All of this is like weird and new and interesting. But let's just go back to tour mode here. I like how you can just change the modes right there. Air suspension going back to standard, and I just felt it shift. So the shifting is not nearly as smooth or refined as Taycan, actually. So we have to play around a little bit more with it. But both of those shifts, I would say, felt like they need to work on the tuning a little bit better on that rear axle transmission. And I'm fairly certain that the standard Eletre, the non-R, gets a single single gear, but I could be wrong. I need to reference my notes for that, and hopefully I reference them so in the intro you'll know. But yeah, we're just cruising behind a Bolt. Everything seems fairly reasonable. Let's just set up some driver assistance here. It says function deactivated, function on.
Might not be able to work because we're in the US.
I'm just trying to see if it will do steering for me. It's not doing steering. Yeah, it may not be active yet on this particular car. They said that some of the driver assistance stuff was coming, and this is a pre-production. Anyway, more to play around with. We're going to go try just a twisty road really quick so we can have some fun in the corners, and then we're going to cruise down PCH and do what the Eletre is made to do. But initial impression is a high-quality experience with very nice tactile touch points. I hate the square steering wheel. I wish it was just a round wheel, but it's better than the yoke, I think. And the car, it's dead quiet in here. This is like a car you could commute in easily, do the highway miles in it. It's just amazing so far. Initial impression is I'm really blown away, actually.
Yeah, me too.
So you guys know that I always call wireless phone chargers phone heaters. Well, you can see my phone is heating up right now on the wireless charger. However, the phone cooler is right here beside it. So I can just put my phone right in the cooling vents and rapidly cool it down, which is what we often have to do on out-of-spec shoots to cool down the device in the middle of filming. So I love that you can heat it up and cool it down right next to each other. Pretty epic. So full throttle in the Eletre, ramping up power, still ramping. Whoa! So it just gives more and more and more in track mode. Track mode definitely gives you the incentive to stay in the freaking pedal. It's got all the power you need, but I'm also glad it has this much power. Lotus has never been about having so much power in their vehicles, and this certainly has it. Even with regen on full, it's very minimal, but certainly it's got a great brake pedal, and I cannot tell when the blend point is happening. So that's a great brake pedal. Maybe one of the best brake pedals in the industry, actually. We're just gonna go nice and slow here because there's some corners up ahead, so we'll just, basically wait for a car to come. And the electric rear spoiler does make quite a bit of noise as it raises and lowers. But yeah, here we go. Some corners coming up. So let's just fling it through them, shall we? So big power on the way in, on the brakes. Wow, great response on the steering. Oh, yeah, baby. Eletre. Whoa, the steering is pretty wild, actually. It's like traction control is definitely on and working. It feels heavy. Damn, you can haul. There's zero steering feel, but it's got actually maybe it's the square thing, but it just feels very great. Tire setup too. So yeah, you can have fun in this thing. I actually wish there was a little bit better steering feel, but you just keep leaning into the steering. There's more and more and more, and I'm just surprised there's that much grip through there. So we'll do the same thing. We'll just pull over here, wait for a car to come up again, and then rip, because I think that's our best option. Wow, Alyssa, initial impressions on the performance side of things.
This is so much fun.
This is so much fun. Here comes the car again. So, wow, it's spicy.
Yeah.
Let's go for it. Whoa, big power there. Holy smokes. Through the corners, everything it's got through there. Whoa.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. Okay, so it does the performance-y thing. Wow. And look at the grip levels through here too. Now, I'm not turning traction control off because we're on a public road, but I do feel it cutting in. Full brakes. Very strong braking performance through here. This might be one of the most fun electric SUVs I've ever driven. Actually, it probably is the most fun electric SUV I've ever driven. Here in track mode, I can tell there's still a little bit of work to do on the ESP calibration. Like, they should let the car do a little bit more before it starts cutting power. But we're pulling 1.1 Gs in the corner, 1.3 G under acceleration, 1 G under braking. I mean, 1.1 G around corner with ESP on, that's really not bad. And the car's firm in track mode.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's firm in track mode. It actually is maybe even a little bit too firm for this road. So I wonder if we bump it to sport, we'll raise the ride height a little bit, just give it some room to work. Wow. Power.
Whoa.
Shifts gears. Yeah, so it does the Taycan thing where occasionally you put your foot down and nothing happens.
Yeah.
Which is when it's changing gear.
Okay.
And I don't like the idea of a transmission in an electric car. There's no, Plaid and Sapphire prove there's no need for this.
Right.
So I think that's not good.
They'll figure it out one day.
One day they'll figure it out. But aside from that, as a performance SUV, it's stunningly fast.
Yeah, it boogies.
It boogies, that's right. Man, a test between this and like a Cayenne Turbo GT would be a really interesting video.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
All right, well, we've done the performance thing,
Yeah.
and it does that. Let's
wow.
go down PCH. Let's go cruise. We'll put this thing into my individual setting now, which is going to be everything in sport, but the suspension in comfort, but it's slammed all the way down. So it's more for styling and looks and less for performance. But even in this mode, wow, it's fast. It just, it's very different kind of fast than most people are used to in an electric car. It builds. It doesn't smack you in the face and go. And
which that I enjoy a lot more. Not the smacking in the face, the building of it. It gives you more of the experience of like your car's actually working versus just.
yeah, so like, and actually Porsche does this a little bit in the base versions of the Taycan, where when you floor it in like a Taycan rear-wheel drive, it just gives more and more, and it gives you an incentive to stay in the throttle. So as a driving enthusiast, I enjoy that because I actually have to work the car. I'm going to hit the throttle a little bit earlier because things are going to happen. But if I just want the most out of the platform and the most out of the motors at all time, when I put my foot to the floor, there's also a different side of me that's like, just give me everything you got. Like, don't play games, just give it full beans. Yeah, it's definitely overactive on the beeps from the driver assistance system. Keep hands on wheel. My hand is on the wheel. Look, it thinks my hand's not on the wheel. So capacitive wheel would be my guess. Stop beeping. Here's another Eletre. Haha, waves around.
Yellow is nice.
Yellow is cool. Yellow is very cool in this car. Wow. All right, let's go cruise down PCH. We burned a lot of battery ripping it. You now join us after where we shot the intro, actually. And I have to say, it was so hard to film this car because so many people kept coming up to us.
Yeah, it was really interesting to see everybody's different opinions on the car, and a lot of people who are just like big enthusiasts were just okay with it because it would help keep the brand to have money to be able to make more cool cars.
No one said, I wish they didn't make this.
Right.
Some people said it's not a real Lotus, or it's not what a Lotus has been.
Right.
I think everyone can agree with that. It's a new world. However, I think everyone was under the understanding that this is needed to bring Lotus into the next generation to still continue building lightweight, fun sports cars. On the other side, there was a lot of especially younger audience or electric vehicle people that we met that were like, this is the coolest thing ever. And we met a Macan owner who's like, I'm buying one.
Oh, really? You did say he was buying one? Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's my impression. I love this so much.
So into this thing.
I'm so into this.
And driving it is amazing. It looks, the more time I spend with it, the more I really like the way it looks. It's very technical, it's very intricate, and the attention to detail here is really, I would say, unmatched in this segment. Like even Macan, which we haven't had a chance yet to drive or even explore up close, is so much more understated than this.
Right, and I think that's what really excites me about it. Is just there's just so many neat things that I like. Like even this is a little touch screen. I can turn it off if I wanted to, and they can software update to have this do more in the future too. It just there's just so much fun and cool things about it that I really enjoy. But there are some things that I'm kind of like, for the price tag, why isn't it there? And that's like the back heated seats, and there's no cooled seats, and there's no massaging seats. Mainly my main gripe is just with the seats.
we are in the spicy version, and we're not sure if the standard car without the big seats.
Hey, it's our truck.
Yep, I know, nice rigging. We aren't sure if the standard version has like a less racy seat, which is common in the performance car world at least.
Right, yeah. So that'd be very interesting to find and figure out. But overall, I mean, I just really enjoy this car. It's just so much fun. It's so cool. It looks different, and I like cars that nobody else really likes usually. So that's why I'm not a huge Model Y person. Whoa!
It's really freaking fast. It's really fast, and rear steer feels great, and the motors feel super solid. Like the car, everything feels solid. I think they've just knocked it out of the park with this. So we'll get back, we'll share our final thoughts, but overall, as a first initial taste, I can't thank Lotus enough for letting us have a go, for enjoying the letting us enjoy this car. It's might be an expensive test drive.
Yeah, might be an expensive test drive, but yeah, it's fun.
There's one huge oversight with this vehicle, Alyssa.
Ready for it.
It's most of this area, actually. There's like no place to put things, like I mentioned, so you're going to put your stuff there. And of course, it's got 900 horsepower. So here's what's going to happen.
Everywhere. Usually everything goes right there. That's been its little wheel well that it goes into.
Yeah, that's just put a little lip right here or something.
Yeah, this needs to be a little bit deeper. Or
any storage area of any car needs to handle max braking, max cornering, max acceleration.
yeah, this does need a little bit more of like front storage. And I mean, yeah, this is a speaker right here, but maybe something mesh so I could be able to put things in there. I mean, you have this, which is great and definitely does the water bottle test. Yeah, because it's like curved in there, which is neat. But other than that, you don't really have anything unless you open this area and use that, which is...
You know what I just realized? We'll have to do this in the final bit of the video.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot to show everyone the charging port.
Oh.
I always show everyone the charging port.
Oh, yeah.
What's happening?
There's just so much to say about it that the things that we normally say are just going off the wagon.
Right, like look at this ambient lighting here in this dash. Really cool.
Yeah, I wonder if you can edit that.
I think yeah, you can change the color.
Nice.
The problem is this car is so complicated and there's so many things that it's like, what do we even choose to share? Because it's just wild. And then we just stuff it through some corners and it's just amazing at that. We're behind a Maserati.
And I do enjoy this front dash, how it's flat and I can see, and the visual side of it, which is a huge thing for me, is visuals. Is pretty. Is there a lot of blind spots that you notice as a driver?
No, the C-pillar is a little bit thick, but it's got blind spot monitoring.
Yeah. I like it a lot. A lot.
I need my phone so I can see where we're going.
Oh, it's back here.
As we're just sitting in traffic on the way back from the shoot, you can see the whole roof is basically closed off at the moment. So let me just show you a little bit about how I would go about just doing that. I'm just going to tap the car. I'm going to tap the sunroof. It'll bring me here, and then I can go full open. There we go. How sick is that? And I can go full closed. That makes a huge difference.
Yeah. Such cool technology.
Love that. All right, guys, come check out the charge port. Really cool how the LiDAR sensors are back here and all that stuff. This is the charge port. You push it and it is electronic. And it does, I believe, support 22 kilowatt AC charging in Europe. And then, of course, 350 kilowatt DC charging. But it's all about the curve. And the curve is freaking juicy on this thing. That's the best part of the whole vehicle, is the charging curve. In the US, I'm guessing it'll have an 80 amp onboard charger, maybe a 48 amp. We're not 100% sure, but nice powered charge port door, good size, fits in with the vehicle lines nicely. At first I thought, okay, what the heck are these things for? But yeah, LiDAR, and then it pops out of the roof like we showed you. Really, really cool car. Let's give you my final thoughts on it now. Well, there you guys go, the Lotus Eletre. And I'm just blown away, Alyssa.
I'm in love.
She's in love with it.
I'm just in love.
You spec'd one out on the ride home. That's how I know you were into it.
Yeah,
she was on the configurator.
Did, and I did actually figure out, to answer the question about the seats, they do have massaging seats. It's $5,000.
$5,000?
Yeah, for comfort seats.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Thankfully, it's optional. You know, this was one of those vehicles we didn't expect to be able to drive and film today. We were just coming to check it out, and Lotus was like, oh, take it for the day. Just amazing. These guys are epic. The car is insane. We're on 23-inch wheels. I mean, everything here is so not Lotus. This is Lotus, the Emira. V6, manual, optional. Just seems like a great choice. But in order for this car to exist, that car needs to also exist. And
exist and thrive.
And thrive. And I think they've done a great job. And I think if you're interested in a sporty, premium, cool electric SUV, this is kind of it. Now, one thing Lotus hasn't discussed yet is the North American charging standard for the charging port. So right now it is just CCS, which I think is going to make the car struggle a little bit in our market. Hopefully Lotus partners with Tesla and chooses to go that route, but time will tell what happens. The 2024 Lotus Eletre has not been fully spec'd, or I should say decided on all the final specifications for our market. Onboard charger, things like this haven't totally been communicated. Again, we haven't even seen a US spec car. These are all Euro spec versions, but truly just in love with it. The brake pedal is amazing. There's a couple little quirks though. Again, the interior storage space needs a little bit of work. The regen settings, there's just no one pedal driving. The regen settings aren't strong enough in my opinion. Depends on the drive mode. So, you know, you have all these regen controls on the steering wheel and there's 3 regen settings, 1, 2, and 3, and there's not much difference between them. So I'd like to see them dial up the regen, put in one pedal driving, you know, of course, get a little bit of the software stuff working. The driver assistance needs a whole lot of functionality to be added. It's still early days for this car, but there's time. It supports over-the-air updates, and it was just an incredible first taste of a Lotus Eletre. So, Alyssa, I'll let you give some final thoughts before we end the video.
I mean, this is my first time ever being in a Lotus per se, or not per se, just Lotus in general, and I'm just absolutely blown away. I definitely want to experience something like that. And then
we're going to take one of those out.
Oh, we are?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, I mean, I'm just in love with it. I come from my e-tron, and then I love premium, more eclectic cars that people aren't really talking about, which nobody's talking about this car right now. And they really should be, because I mean, the price point is really not that bad for what you're getting.
Right, it is quite a bespoke, a very high-end experience for a fairly reasonable price. It's certainly more than Q8 e-tron, but I imagine, we don't know Macan pricing yet, but I don't think this thing's going to be far off of top spec Macan pricing.
I mean, like Kyle said, fully spec'd mine out, and it's around 120 euros, 120,000 euros, and I mean, that's not terrible for this car.
I would agree that, you know, cars are expensive. This is an expensive car. It's luxurious. It's premium. They've done a great job. So thanks so much for watching this video. Huge thanks to our friends at Lotus for letting us have a go. What a great day we had in this vehicle. Hopefully you guys learned a little bit about it along the way. We cannot wait till we get this thing out on some open road, do some charging tests, range tests, and I really think this is going to be the king of our 10% challenge. So stay tuned as we're hopefully able to do all of the testing very soon. Thanks again for watching another Out of Spec Reviews video. See you in another one soon. Bye-bye.